Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. So it's that time of week again. It's our usual Friday night live. So let's see who comes along to have a chat with us. It's been a busy day today, trying to get quite a lot of stuff cleaned up in the garden. It's been so wet that we've not been able to cut the grass for a very long time, and the grass has been almost grown to knee height. So I've just about managed to finish trimming that before I've come rushing onto here, so I can get on here and have a chat with you guys. And we've done a little bit of an onion harvest as well today. Now, I've just uploaded the video of the onion harvest and what I've done on that bed onto my Patreon. So if you do go and check that out, I mean, that's one of the best ways of supporting our channel as well, becoming a patron. So we've just uploaded all of that onto our Patreon, and it has absolutely been my worst onion year for ever. I've not had a year as bad as this before. But on the plus side, what I managed to do was, because I've managed to clear the bed of onions and whatever meager harvest I managed to achieve, because now that bed's clear, I was able to play with that bed a little bit more. So the bed that the onions were growing in is a really hard bed to water. So I fixed my grey water system on there, and it's just that's also featured on the Patreon account as well. Alan, still got loads of rain and showers here. We need sun and we had a really nice day yesterday, and today's been okay. It's not been sunny, but it's not been soaking wet, and I think we've desperately needed that little break, because every single day for almost all of July so far we've had tons and tons of rain, and I think the rest of the month is forecast like that, with a lot of rain. So just be careful. Blight might be something that you're going to need to watch out for. So work on, if you're growing tomatoes outdoors, work on ventilation. What I like to do with a lot of my tomatoes is remove a lot of leaves and make sure that there's plenty of airflow around the plant. We do get blight, but normally it comes on probably sort of September, October time, and we're able to manage it up until we get the first frost. So just be careful with that. So just keep an eye out on that. There's a really good website called Blight Watch, so that's one of the problems that you're going to get. So wife and daughter in Mallorca, 32 degrees. Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be nice. See, I had a client come in, a new client come in. He's from Greece, and he sort of lives out there half the year, and he's over here half the year. And he was telling me that it was 40 degrees not so long ago, but it was so hot that people couldn't actually leave their homes. So he's actually relieved to be back in the UK, where it's not as crazy hot. But I wouldn't mind some 30-degree weather here at the moment. Yeah, I won't. 37 degrees in Greece. See, I won't mind some nice 30-degree weather here, and a bit of sun. After all this rain, we need those plants drying off. We need that. It's come a little bit backwards. I mean, if we'd have had this rain in June, and then we had the June weather now, every single garden would have been absolutely rocking. You know, it would have been going off crazy. I mean, the rain's helping some of my big plants, or some of my squash. My squash are absolutely taken off. There's some plants that have just taken over the 2 complete beds, and I'm allowing it to do that. One of the things that I'm doing in that bottom onion bed, where I've taken it out, I've just set up my grey water to run into that bed. So all the water from the bath, instead of being flushed down the sink, it's running straight into that bed, and it's going to irrigate that bed. And that's a really tough bed to water, because it's under a large sycamore tree, surrounded by hedges, surrounded by big shrubs that are sucking it dry. So what I've done is I've set the grey water pipe up and I've cut a few channels for the water to flow. So it's almost like building in purpose-built swales to catch all the water from our baths, so it doesn't all go to waste. It'll be quite good once, if it takes off like that. Ben, how are you doing, mate? Glad you could join us. Remember to tune in. These purple gooseberries are fantastic. I must have been. Oh, we've got some red gooseberries. Absolutely beautiful. Really, really beautiful. They're really sweet, and then they've got that sour tang, and that's just absolutely amazing. Yeah, I really do like those gooseberries. Yeah, we like them a lot. So who else is coming in? So Ned, how are you doing, mate? Thanks for coming in. Hope everyone's good. We've got people dropping in and out of TikTok, but no one's sticking around very long. So yeah, as usual, we're streaming over a couple of platforms. We're on TikTok and we're on YouTube. But so still no ripening of large tomatoes, sweet corn, fully mature, male flower, tassels up and shedding pollen, but not a single female silk to pollinate. Oh man. See, we're getting some nice tomato harvests at the moment, so we're getting quite a lot of cherry tomatoes. We're picking loads and loads of cherry tomatoes. Some of our bigger tomatoes are being harvested now as well. They're starting to turn. But we've got most of them just growing straight outside, so straight out in the garden. So I saw your comment about the suckers being a bit late. Now I just planted some of those suckers that were in that little clip that you commented on. I planted quite a few of those suckers into the garden today. I'm still expecting at least a couple of trusses off each plant. Now, as plants in an empty bed or as overgrowth in an empty bed. So the way I'm planting them is that I'm expecting them to grow over and then squash to grow underneath, or the runners of squash to grow underneath. So they're occupying space that otherwise would be wasted. And if I get a couple of trusses of tomatoes off them each, that'll be fantastic. And some suckers now, if you plant them into greenhouses, one of the good things that we're able to do is, I don't know where everyone else is, but we managed to harvest tomatoes probably up until about November time in the greenhouse, which is quite nice. I mean, they need to be harvested well. I mean, they need to establish the tomatoes well in advance, and then you can just hope that they mature into that late period. But in the greenhouse, planting suckers now is perfect. So who else have we got? We've got Emma Robinson. How are you doing, Emma? Glad you came in. Do I remember rightly that you got some caper seeds? No, not. I've never grown caper seeds before. Said Zaman, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. And we've got Ted Man over on TikTok asking, what do I use to hold tomato plants up? So tomato plants that are grown outside, I normally plant them, use a bamboo cane or some kind of stake. Privet's really good for that. Use a privet stake or just a branch. If they're grown where I've grown them near frames, I use a string to tie them up and climb them up with a string. Yeah. But I keep it simple. I don't go over complicated on them. So who else we got? We've got Margaret. How are you doing? Thanks very much for coming in. Hope you're keeping well. So what would you sow now, knowing that a heat wave is due? So there's loads and loads of stuff to still be sowing. I'll do a video for what to plant in August, but there's a video that I did what to plant in July. Most of those seeds still apply. So lettuce, dwarf French beans. So if you haven't sown your overwintering vegetables, so get them sown in August. Plant loads and loads of radishes, kohlrabi, pak choy, a lot of Asian mustards. They're really good to be sown. So is the wastewater irrigation okay for edible plants? Absolutely. I mean, it goes straight into my garden. So if you look on the last TikTok video that I've just put on, you can see it, and it's watering my tomatoes. I have it watering my potato. I have that pipe just channeled straight into my potato bed. I have it channeled into my strawberries. Yeah, so yeah, the problem with grey water is when when with grey water, when you try and store it, because of the bacteria content and the nutrient content, yes, it can become a little bit full of noxious bacteria, and that's the problem with trying to store grey water without any sort of filtration process. So, but we're not storing it; we're dumping it straight into the ground, and the soil biology is taking care of anything nasty in there. Yeah, so there you go. So FXH, you asked that question, and there's your answer. It's pretty good. Um, um, so what else have we got? Ben Comley, how are you doing, mate? Thanks very much for coming in. Do you plant an autumn garden? If so, what do you plant, please? I think I might have just covered that. Yeah, so I do plant quite a few things. I don't plant loads of things. That I'm not a big brassica man, but we do plant a few stuff. Noor Ali, walaikum assalam. Rami Ali, walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. And I grow tomatoes in greenhouse and outside in scaffolding net cage. Both areas I'm still picking tomatoes. Yeah, so late October, absolutely awesome. Margaret, whereabouts are you? So just under your belly button to below your knees. That's the Hanafi position. So that's a question over on TikTok. Paracord string best for tomatoes inside. Paracord string. What's paracord string? Rob's allotment gardening. Rob, how are you doing? Thanks very much for coming in. Hope you're keeping well. Big Mac, how are you doing, mate? Thanks very much for coming in. Shaista, I think that's a Shaista. Walaikum assalam. I have a small backyard, so all plants in pots. First time grower, growing aubergine. Best compost to use, please. I use my homemade compost. I don't like buying the compost, and a lot of the free composts aren't brilliant at the moment. Clover's supposed to be quite good, but not everywhere sells it. Westland's okay. Any recommendations on shop bought comp? Good. Have a look at the way I fill my pots as well. If you're doing container gardens, go onto my YouTube channel and have a look at my container garden growing series, because I've done a garden just based on a small patch of concrete, and it's focusing on growing food for free, basically. So have a look at that. Rob's just had his tea. I need to have something as well. I need to something to eat, because I've just come straight from working in the garden straight upstairs. So Margaret's in Northumberland on northeast. Okay, so you're still quite far north, and if you're getting tomatoes into October, that's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. Rami, plant garlic in late autumn directly outdoors. You can plant in spring, but bulbs develop better after overwintering in the ground. And depending on where you are, absolutely brilliant advice there. Depending on where you are as well, you need a longer season. Like if I did an experiment a couple of years ago. It's on YouTube. One of my videos compares garlic that's planted on the shortest day and harvested on the shortest day to garlic planted in sort of late September, early mid-October, that sort of time. That's when I normally plant it, mid-October. And the bulbs that I planted in in December just didn't manage to get germinated, didn't manage to put in any size. I used 2 beds side by side, a similar size patch, and yeah, there was just no comparison. For me, we just need that longer season, as long time in the ground as possible for the garlic just to get off and growing. So Derek, how are you doing? Sorry, a bit late. Just had a first good downpour of rain here. Oh, fantastic! See, when you get that rain after you've been desperate for it for ages, it's awesome. But it's turned into a bit of a problem for us at the moment. So just type in search paracord string. It's cheap and very strong. I'll have a look. Yeah, I'm gonna have a look at. I'll have a look at that. Elizabeth, how are you doing? Joining us from Ireland. Hope you're keeping well. Rami's in Ireland. Oh, we've got an Irish massive in the house today. Oh, wicked! We've got a few. That's all right. Nebul wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. So Alan's 20 miles north of Belfast County. JR, how are you doing from a wet Newcastle? It's been all right today. We're gonna get rain heavily tomorrow, so it's gonna be another one juggling the rain breaks in the rain to try and get the video filmed. Yeah, Rob, I'm with you. I'm fed up with rain a bit. I got food big. I had to replace all 200 onions following the winter because they had rotten. Not happy, but at the time, however, delighted. Now, what a bumper harvest I'm going to have. See, Jim, I've had an absolutely horrible year for onions. My onions were doing absolutely awesome outside. They were doing really well in the garden, coming on beautifully. And then the chickens came out and just completely destroyed everything. And then I had to do a late sowing, like an emergency sowing, and then didn't manage to get them planted out in time. And then when I did get them out, we got stuck with no rain for ages. Yeah, yeah. So it's not been a good year for my onions this year. So Rob's half Irish as well. So we've got a proper Irish representation going on today. That's awesome. So Neville's from the south of France. What's the weather like where you are at the moment? Derek's Irish, but come on, everyone's going to claim some Irish heritage now. So what's the best tomatoes and carrot varieties that grow successfully in Irish weather? So I'll tell you, I'm over in Yorkshire, so I don't think you're going to be massively different to us. I don't think you're going to be that much different. Cherry tomatoes always do really well. Really easy to grow as well. They'll harvest a lot earlier as well. So most cherry tomatoes, I like Sweet Million because they're just really productive. Everyone likes Sun Gold. Everyone absolutely loves Sun Gold. Let's just turn that thing off. Yeah. But in terms of larger varieties, you can't go wrong with Gardener's Delight. It's a good, reliable cropper. I tend to always grow a few from the supermarket as well. I just take some seeds out of supermarket tomatoes, and I find they do quite well as well. They give you a consistent tomato. But what else am I growing this year? So we're growing San Manzano. We're growing Gigantimo. But I've lost a lot of my tomato plants. A lot of my tomato plants went missing this year. I planted loads, and people just like to come along, and we do give them plants. Whenever we get visitors, and if you know me, I'm not the best when it comes to labeling. So I end up giving plants away that and forgetting what I've kept for myself. Yes, buddy. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it's something. One day I'll learn from that mistake, and I'll learn to label plants properly. But yeah, that's one thing that I'm not the best at. J Eubank, how are you doing? Thanks very much for coming in from Chorley. We've got Spider-Man invading the chat now. So I'm in Leicester. So I don't grow onions, they're so cheap to buy, it's more productive to grow short lots. The thing is, we use a lot of onions in our cooking, so we grow a lot of onions, but we don't have that same. Shallots are okay for stir fries and stuff, but we don't have that same shallot usage. So normally we're able to grow at least.
That's not Venom. That's Miles Morales Spider-Man.
So we're able to grow at least 3 or 4 months worth of onions in a year, and that's good for us because we go through a few kilos of onions a week. So it just really does help on that little bit of thingy. So you can get blocked. How'd you block these idiots? There we go. Block. Goodbye. Okay. So yeah, some lowlifers decided to call me an extremist on TikTok, which was, yeah, we're extreme gardeners. Okay, well that's just thrown me off my track actually. So Abaya UK, glad you came in. Thanks very much for coming in. Does Spider-Man have any advice? He's gone to get into his pajamas now. That's Venom, not Spider-Man. Dave, which Spider-Man was that? Was that That was Miles Morales. I don't know what Miles Morales is. What's Miles Morales to you?
The one in a different dimension, his Peter Parker got killed, and he was bitten by a red apple spider and had to take it over the mantle.
So he's from a different dimension, apparently, Miles Morales. I grew some onions for the first time trying. I'm well pleased, so lots next year.
And in other media, he's in the same universe, but he might still be from a different dimension, or he might actually be from the same dimension as that Spider-Man.
Can I fix my curtain trap, please? What do you mean fix it? I don't know what you're talking about.
You remember when I was younger, how I took the phone to do
cooking? How are you doing? Thanks very much for coming in. Did I just start the live? No, I've been on since just after 8 o'clock. Yeah, but glad you made it in. Sam, how are you doing, mate? Long time no see. Hope everything's good with you and the baby's good. So the Malcolms, how are you doing, mate? Thanks very much for coming in. Hope you're good. So not a handyman. I don't think you've watched enough of my videos. Am I the only woman here? No, absolutely not. We've got absolutely loads of women here. You just need to have a look in the chat. So my tomatoes are struggling this year too. I've left a few side shoots onto the might produced. I've done it in previous years and it's worked. So what are you trying to grow lots of side shoots, or are you just trying to grow a couple of extra side shoots? Because what I've done with a few side shoots in the past is I've grown like instead of single stemming, I'm growing like a double stem, and just kept it at that. But I've never managed to grow on a vining tomato, grow lots and lots of tomatoes off lots of stems. But when I do that, I always end up with loads of green tomatoes, and they never quite ripen. So both will be well. Alan, if you need more seeds, just let us know what you need, and we'll get some seeds over to you. Need some sun. I'm agreeing with you there. We all need some sun quite badly. So tried growing Naga chili last year, bought from the range, total failure, best way. So Naga, I've actually got a really good playlist again on YouTube for growing chilies. What I normally do is I plant my chilies in sort of December time, early December, and then overwinter them in the house under grow lights, and then keep them in a grow cupboard until spring. Someone complained about your curtain. Honestly, slugs I can handle, but the whole butterflies. Oh, do you know what I just found today? When you started talking about butterflies there, my wife called me over saying, "Oh, come over here, what's this?" Really freaked out. She was quite scared. And it was an elephant hawk caterpillar. So there's an elephant hawk caterpillar just chilling in the garden. So I can't wait till we get elephant hawk moths flying about, because they're so pretty. They're just so pretty. We get, I've seen quite a few of them. I've never actually seen the elephant hawk caterpillar before, but this time, we've seen the caterpillar. I'm not sure whether to pick him up, if I can still find him, and put him in a jar and watch him hatch. Have you guys ever hatched caterpillars in cocoon in jars and stuff before? What do you guys think? So you close that door, buddy. Where are we going? Will a winter squash only produce a set amount of fruit? They have to be left on the vine to mature, but other type of plants do you need to pick, otherwise the plant thinks it's finished. So with things like courgettes, that kind of squash, courgettes, marrows, as soon as they've reached the size, pick them, and they'll keep producing. Your marrows and your squash and courgettes and these kind of things, marrows and your courgettes and these kind of things, they'll keep producing well into sort of September, October, if you've got a greenhouse. But with sort of your pumpkins and your winter squash, the thick skinned, like your crown prince and stuff like that, just allow them to grow on certain, on your main vine. If you've got a couple of fruit, just pick off the rest so you can get nice big size fruit, depending on what your target is. For me, we normally go for something that's just a bit bigger than a mini football. If we can get squash that size and we can get them to mature, it's just easier to store. So not as big as a football, just a little bit bigger, so probably about 6 inches wide, 8 inches wide, that sort of size. If you get a massive squash, then it's hard to store, and what can happen is if they don't store well, they rot, and then you get disappointed because you've just ruined a massive squash. You okay, sweetheart?
Yeah.
How are you doing?
The things I got from school?
No, no. Is that elephant moth caterpillar still outside?
Oh yeah, sleeping under a rock.
Sleeping under a rock. Keep that guy safe because we want hawk butterflies this year.
It's a moth.
But yeah, so do you know on and when you get main vines shooting out as well, as long as you got a couple of fruit per vine, that's okay. But don't try and go for loads of squash on one vine, otherwise you're not going to get massive ones. But it depends on what your aim is. If you want one huge squash, then all you want is one squash per plant, and go for it that way. So what do you suggest? Keep warming up the greenhouse in winter, keeping in mind mold development. So I used to use hotbeds, and I used to use a combination of compost to keep the greenhouse warm over winter. Then I experimented with using fat burning candles, and just tried to look for ways that are going to be cost effective. Realistically, for things other than cold hardy plants, trying to overwinter summer type plants in the greenhouse is just not worth it. Most greenhouses, depending on how cold you are, most greenhouses will stay warm enough in the winter so you can grow most of your salad crops. You should be able to grow some Asian brassicas, so pak choy, bok choy, am soy, tat soy, these kind of things. You'll know when I'm feeding them, yeah. Yeah. So all of these kind of plants. So you've thrown me off my floor now, man. But all of these kind of plants will grow quite well if you get them started off early enough. So if you sow them in about September time, get them planted into some pots or into the ground in the greenhouse by early October, you'll get harvest through the winter. So yeah, that's the key, is that the seed sowing timings that's really important. You got a friend there? Yeah, your friend okay. Tally is on. Oh, you got loads of friends coming in now.
Okay.
So say hello to them.
Oh.
You've embarrassed her now. I've got a tongue twisted saying all of that. Yeah, so sometimes you so Khadija was saying that I'm speaking another language when I'm going on with all that. Dave Rees, how are you doing, mate? Thanks very much for coming in. Hope you're keeping well. We've been hammered with carrot fly in raised beds. Even had spring red and brown onions growing with them. Any tips? So carrot fly, they fly around at about 2 foot level. So if you've seen the containers that I grow my carrots in, so my carrots are grown in containers that are about 1.5 foot off the ground. So depending on how high your raised beds are, that could be an issue raising them up. So I grow mine in containers, and then they're automatically protected from carrot fly. But the other thing is some netting around the plants that are just staked in. So you just have netting like 4 walls around it. Don't need to cover the top. But that's one of the easiest ways of protecting it. I'm surprised if the companion planting hasn't worked. I'm sorry about that, but the physical barrier is absolutely most effective.
I don't think those are Yeah,
So you're
never
growing
mind those
Jamaican
numbers.
callaloo and dragon egg cucumbers to be a bit different this year. So we grow a lot of callaloo. I mean, not always. We've grown Jamaican callaloo before, but we grow a lot of so amaranth, most amaranth. So we grow a lot of dubi, as we say in Bangla. Um, but we grow loads of callaloo or spin-offs. Um, slugs and butterflies are eating my so slugs get nematodes. Nematodes are absolutely amazing for helping control slugs. Um, Ali Y is saying he's going to eat the moth's going to. I'm happy if the elephant hawk moth eats my plants. I can afford him. That luxury? I can afford him that hospitality. I'd rather a few of those guys flying about in the garden because they're just so awesome, man. They're just so awesome. Um, so, so can you convert a child's cot bed from IKEA into a chicken coop? The only problem with that is the wood. First of all, the glue. As soon as it gets a little bit of water on it, stop that. As soon, okay, just turn the sound off then. As soon as it gets a little bit of water on it, the glue comes apart and the whole thing falls apart. Because I used a bed frame a few years ago as a trellis to plant bottle gourds on, and that's the first thing that happened was the water just took the glue apart and the whole thing fell apart. The other thing is it's not treated wood, or it's wood that's been specifically used indoors, so it rots a lot faster. As soon as it gets a little bit of water contact, it does rot a lot faster. So if you've got a cot bed and you've got it protected under some sort of cover from the elements, I don't see why it can't be used as a chicken coop at all. Let's see who can afford heating. So one of my friends, Dean, lost the plot. What he's got in his greenhouse up in Newcastle is he's got a wood fire, and then he's used some scaffolding bars that just go all the way around the greenhouse, and they're full of water, and that flood feeds into his wood burner. So he's got a wood burner that just heats the whole greenhouse, and he's got these scaffolding boards that act like radiators. I told him he needs to set a system up like that for me, and he's never come back to my garden after I told him that. Where am I? Let's try and catch up on the comments a little bit. So, name of my YouTube channel is just called My Family Garden. So yeah, My Family Garden. Have a look on there. The YouTube channel's got a lot more content, and it's been growing a lot more. It's been growing for longer than TikTok. I'm fairly new to TikTok, and yeah, so we just put a few stuff on there, but it's not as popular as YouTube. YouTube is quite good. So I haven't been here for a while. The kids have grown. Yeah, I know. So Khadija just I don't know what the name is, but just finished year 6, haven't you?
Yeah.
Starting high school in September. The other one started high school last year. He's going into year 8 in September. This one's going into year 7. Yeah, everything's just all change at the moment. Changing a little bit too fast for me, if I say it, Jay. So I never knew. Oh, wicked, Derek. That's all right. I'm glad that's working for you. See, with the suckers now, like I grow my tomato. I start my tomatoes off in February. Sometimes I even start them off a little bit earlier, and then but I don't grow the earlier plants for tomatoes, right? I grow them for suckers. So I start them off really early. They get really lanky and they turn into really poor plants. But the suckers from those plants work really well because you've just taken a sucker. You can take a sucker off in March, and you've got an almost mature plant in March. As soon as because you've got that couple of months of growth. So I do sometimes plant a couple of plants in January time, just so I can get some suckers growing. And you just plant them out, and they do absolutely awesome. So Sam was going to say she's grown up since I last seen her. Yeah, she's still a chatterbox, but more of a moody chatterbox now.
Who?
You?
No, I'm not.
What was that? Bobby Owen, glad you made it, man. I hope you're keeping well. But do not try to overwinter. See, overwintering chilies outside is going to be really difficult without a good hot, a good warm greenhouse, 10 degrees minimum. So if you're going to overwinter them, inside your house is probably going to be the best. So my daughter starts secondary school. So Sam, Khadija is probably the same age. Yeah. How's she doing anyway? With settling in at school now, and school taking a diagnosis and everything a bit more seriously. The wind blows, carrot fly up to 10. You need higher beds, Rob. I tried to overwinter my bell peppers, didn't work. Now I've got new ones, but growing very slow. They just need that heat and they need a bit of sun. If they're established plants, depends on when you planted them. They'll do a lot of growing in August. So Malcolm's my cabbage and broccoli look so beautiful. It's such a shame there's such a big. Can I make chicken cook from a wooden baby cot from IKEA? I think I might. So yeah, so if it's not glued, then you might be able to make one. Just make sure, because of the type of wood, it will rot a lot quicker. So either give it some kind of treatment, because it's going to normally have varnish on. So you're might have to sand that down and give it a bit of treatment, or grow, make it under some kind of shelter. But yeah. So Philip, how are you doing, mate? Thanks very much for coming in. But I lost nearly all my allium. Also, okay, you got what sounds like allium leaf miner. So tips for allium leaf miner, guys. One of the things with most leaf miners is it's important to break the crop, pest cycles early on. So you want to try and target the eggs that are overwintering. You want to try and target things that are hatching early on. So guys,
show Baba, show
okay.
the entire line.
Cool.
No, don't have to.
No, you have to, please.
No, I'm not gonna.
If we can.
Oh yeah, this person's asking what the name of the channel is.
I answered that a long time ago. So if you can break pest cycles using chickens, or you can use.
No.
It's too funny.
Show me what you're doing. You've distracted it now. You sort of completely thrown me off what I'm trying to say.
A video.
Actually, it's an
audio of
her doing this real fast. Sure, Baba,
Where
an
can
example.
I get some good quality naga seeds from?
Baba, she's
Go
going
on.
to show you an example.
Go
No,
on.
I'm not going to do it. I'll do it later.
Go on then. Go on, show me.
I'll do it later. Wait, no, give me that. Let me pick one.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. You're making too much noise.
Let me see which one I should wait.
See, I save my own. Stop it.
I can hear you
No,
in
no.
the background.
Well, go in the other room and listen to it there then. No, stop it. Close the door. You distracted
Show
me.
Baba.
I've lost completely what I was going to say.
It's too funny.
Go on then. Either show us all or don't. What's that?
Our friend.
That's Talia laughing.
No, it's sped up. It's sped up.
Okay. It sounded like a gremlin. But I saved my own naga seeds. Do you know?
Do you have any idea what
Okay,
Khadijah's
I'm-
saying? She's saying in it.
If you can get yourself
That's such
down,
a
if you can set,
naughty thing to say, Khadijah.
if you can
In
get-
it's such a naughty thing.
if you can get yourself down to a Bangladeshi grocery shop and get fresh naga from there and save the seeds directly from the naga pod. Most of those nagas, you know, they're imported from Bangladesh or they're imported from India, and they're grown in fields where it's just naga. So your chances of getting a good naga after, you know, from that is going to be really good. But good quality seeds from sellers online, they've been really poor. I mean, they've really been poor. We've got a variety that, so I've got a variety that I use for, you know, making our pickle, and it's basically a cross between a naga that came from my village in Bangladesh and Jolokia. So because Jolokia and naga are so close to each other, so I've just tried to capture the heat, and then we just bred that, and we just grow that same strain. One day I think we'll I mean, I gave loads of seeds away last year. So some people came to do a permaculture course in my garden. One of the modules for the Leeds permaculture course is in my garden. And I just gave loads of seeds away to about 30 people. They just, you know, so I didn't have any to offer online or to anyone else because those guys just took all the seeds. So I've got some that I'll be saving again this year. Get in touch with me sort of December time if you when I'm growing, and we might be able to sort some seeds out for you. Do you know that's the thing about seeds, right? Share your seeds. Save seeds, learn to save seeds properly, and share seeds. I'm gonna just close that door because they're distracting me. Just give me a second. They left my door wide open. They came in, distracted me, and then they disappeared. But yeah, share seeds, save seeds. Seeds are going to be really precious commodity. There's something that they're really valuable. There's been a lot of history preserved in seeds as well. There's a lot of work being done to try and limit seed availability by big seed companies, by certain patent holders, by basically the elite. So we need to learn to save seeds properly, and we need to make sure that we're sharing seeds with each other and we're growing, you know, good quality plants. I saw a video of Fiona grows and she sowed carrots in a box on a garage roof. The thing, Rob, the thing about that, right, is, do you know, like a garage roof is almost like a surface. So do you know when we're saying we're going along the surface, right? Now, if a couple get lifted up, they're just going to be flying across like on that, like a surface. So if she'd have netted an area off in the middle of that bed, right, and because when we say they're flying, let's explain this properly. So when we say they're flying across as the surface, right, they can go up, you know, on the contour of grounds and stuff. Now, what they tend to do is if they go up, then they fly across 2 foot across the surface of that. But so if you've got a netted area within that big bed, like a garage roof, then what they're going to do is they're going to go hit that barrier, they're going to go up, or they're going to hit that barrier and go around. That whole bed becomes like the surface, it becomes like the ground, because a garage roof's a big surface area. Does that make sense of what I'm trying to say? They'll poison the soil. Who's going to poison the soil? Simplified Gardening, join us over on TikTok. Tony, how you doing, man? So my carrots last year in a bucket of 6 off brown, but carrot depends on wind, etc. Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome, Abaya UK. Do you know when your channel name's Abaya UK, right? Do you actually sell Abayas? Because it'd be good to see if you do, or if you are selling them, send me a link to it. We'll have a look at some stuff. I had a chicken nugget for my tea tonight. So are you happy with the mushroom kit? Was it worth £20? The thing is, you're not going to get £20 worth of mushrooms from a kit like that. Okay. But the fact that I grew some mushrooms with my daughter, and my daughter enjoyed it, yeah, £20, well worth it. Do you see what I mean? Because we've got a nice plate full of mushrooms, a good cluster of mushrooms, and hopefully we'll get a second spawn. But even with that, it's not 20 quid's worth of mushrooms. You know, it's a lot of mushrooms for 20 quid. But the fact that I managed to grow some mushrooms and do an activity with my daughter that's probably going to get her into, you know, got her buzzing off growing those mushrooms. Yeah, that's worth 20 quid. And the other thing is from a mate as well. You know, so some guys, local lads from Leeds, they've got the business selling these grow kits, and their business is selling these grow kits, and because they're working hard and they're doing you know, good stuff in the community as well. So I bought them. You know, I bought it for that reason as well, because they're a nice group of lads working hard, trying to make a living. So yeah, does that make sense? Can use a mycelium in some coffee grounds or something. That's the plan. So there's instructions on that kit to get a second flush, how to do that. So we're going to go for a second flush. And in the meantime, I've got loads of straw that we're not using at the moment. So I bought a couple of bales of straw. I'm going to take a load of straw, sterilize that, and see if I can get the spawn to spread into that. I'm
very hyper.
Where the spores from the kit ended up on compost and grew like crazy. See, I still struggling salmon becks. Tony, what's going on? See, I tried to grow wine caps in my garden a couple of years ago, and I made a bed, and I got the spawn in, and I got the wine caps to establish themselves, and I saw them pinning, right? After I saw them pinning, and it looked like they were going to do well. And then just after I saw them pinning, we got distracted, and I came back, and the wine caps had all, I'd missed the opportunity to harvest wine caps. What I'm going to try and do with these oysters is try and spread that into some of my wood chip. But I think we might be too late trying to spread it into my wood chip.
No,
So instead of I'm trying to get it spread into my wood chip, and then
why are you not talking to me when I just got here?
yeah. Okay, we'll talk to them afterwards. Okay, the more you try and hog the cat and keep him away from it, the more he's gonna be trying to grab it. Okay. Well, okay. So another racist is coming on TikTok that wants to be destroyed. There, just a racist. Another one. Block. Yeah. So that's the thing about TikTok. It's still at that territory where there's move. Don't read that. Khadija, I said don't read that.
I'm not.
Just move. Just go over there. Don't read that. So report hate speech.
TikTok, not TikTok.
So there you go, you dirty tramp. Off you go. Yeah. So we managed to get quite a few. Got rid of the racist trolls on YouTube, but now there's a lot of them popping up on TikTok. Guys, I'm gonna just call it a night here, okay?
Papa, you just ended it.
Yeah, I'm gonna end it. Yeah.
You didn't get to talk to me.